Hi, this is David Hawthorne at astroview.com. Today we're talking about the Challenger space shuttle explosion that took place on January 28, 1986 at 11:38 a.m. in Cape Canaveral, Florida. We see now that this is the first sign of the zodiac Aries, ruled by Mars, and Mars ruling the chart is down here in the 8th house of death-like experiences. We also notice that the ascendant or rising sign degree is 12 degrees, and we have Rahu and Ketu at 10 degrees. Whenever Rahu and Ketu are close to the rising sign degree, they can cause an eclipse in the house they occupy and in the houses they aspect. So Rahu is afflicting the first house, which is the health and reputation of the expedition. Rahu afflicts the 5th house, which is investments, and Moon, which is the public. It afflicts the 7th house of relationships. It afflicts the 9th house of good fortune. This also undermines the strength of Jupiter ruling the 9th house, and Venus ruling the 7th house, and Sun ruling the 5th house, and Mars ruling the 1st house. So Rahu and Ketu are afflicting 6 of the 12 houses. The 1st house, 3rd house is self-initiatives, 5th house of investments, 7th of relationships, 9th of good fortune, 11th of gains and income. So 6 of the 12 houses are absolutely afflicted. Now for the Aries rising sign, we see that Virgo falls in the 6th house. 6th house is called Ari. It means enemies and fire, accidents. So Mercury ruling the 6th house is absolutely a functional malefic planet for this chart. And it is at 12 degrees, which is exactly on the rising sign degree. So it is afflicting the house it occupies, which is the 10th house of career and karma, and the house it aspects, which is the 4th house of vehicles, transportation, happiness. Plus, Mercury is only 2 degrees from Sun, and so it's also afflicting Sun, and it's 4 degrees from Venus, afflicting Venus. So here, this functional malefic planet is afflicting the house of karma, the field of action, Sun ruling government. Venus also rules vehicles as well. So these are absolutely afflicted. And Saturn ruling Jupiter is down here in the 8th house of death-like experiences. So in essence, there is nothing in this chart that is strong. Mars ruling the chart in the 8th house, a Dustan Baba, inauspicious house. The house of death-like experiences. And Saturn ruling Jupiter is in the 8th house, and it drags Jupiter into the 8th house as well. Plus Jupiter is only 0 degrees, infant state, powerless, and Jupiter's in a house afflicted by Ketu. So Jupiter has no power. Sun and Venus have no power because Mercury afflicts this particular house, 100% impact. So it undermines the strength of Sun, it undermines the strength of Venus. Moon is not strong because Rahu afflicts the house where Moon is sitting, and Moon is ruled by the Sun, which is afflicted by Mercury. So all 9 planets in this chart are considered weak. Even Rahu and Ketu are weak because the landlord for Rahu is Mars, the landlord for Ketu is Venus, which is a house that's afflicted, and Venus is combust. Now let's go look at the dasha periods. This is the timing of events. On January 3rd, the subperiod changed to Mars. And this accident took place on January 28th. So Mars was the subperiod or operating planet. It rules the chart. This is Aries, and Aries is afflicted by both Rahu and Ketu. So there's a double eclipse in the 1st house. And Aries is ruled by Mars in the 8th house of death, and it's only 3 degrees infant state. And the main period ruler, the Mahadasha ruler, was Venus. And Venus rules that 7th house of relationships. It rules vehicles, and it is in a house that's afflicted by Mercury. So there's no protection here at all. So the space shuttle goes up, and the space shuttle blows up. If we take a look at some of our notes here, we can see that the space shuttle broke apart 73 seconds into its flight, leading to the deaths of its 7 crew members over the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Central Florida at 11:38 Eastern Standard Time. So this was a complete disaster, and this horoscope is a disaster, absolutely a disaster. So I believe that anybody launching space shuttles, space flights, should always look at the horoscope for the launch. If that horoscope is afflicted, if all the planets are weak and in afflicted houses, then it's going to be a disaster. Now this is true if you get on an airplane. It's true anytime. There's always a horoscope for every moment of the day. And if you're not aware of the horoscope, then you'll meet with the destiny for that particular event. In other words, if you launch a space shuttle, if you get sworn in as president, if you take a wedding vow, if you buy a piece of property, you start a new business, you start a new job, you hire an employee, there's a horoscope for those moments. So it's very important to always examine a horoscope for the auspicious event and make sure it's free from any afflictions and it's strong. And if not, then you reschedule. So I hope these points are helpful. Please feel free to send me an email if you have any questions to david@astroview.com. Namah Shivaya.